What's up, guys? It's Miss McDonald here, and I'm going to quickly review the race strategy with you all because either on March 26th, which is on Thursday, or March 30th, which is next Monday, you will be writing a video journal response using the race strategy. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so remember that the R stands for restate. When you restate something, that just means that you take what you said and say it again in a different way. One way to do this is to turn the question into a statement in order to introduce your paragraph. So an example of this would be if you had a question such as, why is sleep important? You could say, sleep is important for many reasons. And then that sets you up to talk about why sleep is important for many reasons throughout your paragraph. Remember that we do not use the word because in our first sentence, in the R. The A stands for answer. So this means you have to answer all parts of the question. For instance, if you have a question such as, what is your biggest dream? How would you react if someone told you that your dream was impossible? You have to answer not only the first half of the question, what is your biggest dream, but also the second half. How would you react if someone told you that your dream was impossible? A lot of times people will only answer the first half of the question and not the second. So really make sure that you're paying attention and answering all parts of the question. The C stands for cite. This is really important because you have to prove that your answer is correct using evidence, textual evidence. I know I've told you all that if you were a detective and you had a theory, you wouldn't just plop it down on your boss's desk without giving some kind of evidence for it. So you've got to do the same thing when you're writing, okay? So here you have to go back in the text and find evidence to support your answer. You can use a direct quote in order to do this, and when you use a direct quote, remember that you have to use quotation marks around the quote. It's very important to introduce your textual evidence with certain phrases, such as according to the text, or for example, the text states, or the author states. And the E stands for explain. This is one that a lot of people get tripped up on. And so the easiest way I can explain this is that here you have to, in the E, you have to explain how your evidence supports your answer. And a good way to do that is explain and then extend. What I mean by extend is go into detail about it. Use your own background knowledge, which is just things that you already know, and use it to make connections from your own experiences. And then the C at the bottom stands for conclusion. And the conclusion is where you wrap everything up and you do not include new information in the conclusion. And you can begin your conclusion with in conclusion, comma. So I have a quick example I'm going to show you guys. So you can just get a little bit of a refresher on how to set this up. So remember that you always have to indent first when you're beginning a paragraph. And the question that I am asked here is, why is sleep so important? And then I was given a paragraph that talked to me about the importance of getting sleep and how it can affect your education. So I started my paragraph out with, sleep is important for many reasons. That is my topic sentence, and that would serve as my R, because I'm restating the question, why is sleep so important, and turning it into a statement here. One reason sleep is important is that a lack of sleep can cause students to lose focus during class. So here, I'm answering the question. So this serves as the A. Notice that I started out with one reason sleep is important is. That's a good way to start out your answer. The C is right here. I cite textual evidence, I wrote, for example, the text states, when kids are tired during class, they have a harder time focusing and can even have behavior problems. Notice that I introduced my textual evidence with, for example, the text states, and then I also used quotation marks as well around my evidence. And my evidence is relevant to my answer. It helps prove my answer. The next part is the E. I wrote, this shows that when students don't get a proper amount of sleep, they are unable to put forth their best effort. This can lead to students making failing grades, as well as students getting behind in class. Notice here that I didn't just repeat what the evidence already said. I explained and then I extended. I went further and kind of tied in some of my own background knowledge and made that connection. And I also began the E with this shows that, or you could begin it with this proves that. And then the C, I wrote in conclusion. So notice I used that to introduce my conclusion. Students need to get a proper amount of sleep each night in order to be successful. That is my example of the RACE strategy. Please make sure that you try super hard to set yours up in a similar way. Your question for the RACE strategy video journal will actually be this. And it looks like some of it erased, but hopefully we can still see it. All right. Okay, so the question for your video journal is, let's see if I can move this so that the light's not so bad. What are some stereotypes people have about getting older? How does this video dispel these stereotypes? Just a quick reminder, stereotype means that, or is, an idea or belief that many people have about a group. So this could be something along the lines of all people who are blonde are dumb. We talked about this in class. Or another common one is all people who are elderly are not good with technology. That's not always the case. It's not always the truth. And so those things would be stereotypes. So you've got to think about some of the stereotypes that people have about getting older. And then dispel just means to eliminate or banish or dismiss something. So you've got to answer the first half of the question, what are some stereotypes people have about getting older? And you also have to answer the second half, which is how does this video dispel or eliminate these stereotypes? Make sure that you really answer all parts of the question here like we talked about a few minutes ago. All right, if you guys have any questions, you can message any of your teachers, email us, use the Remind app, use the discussion board on Canvas, and just let us know if you need help. I hope y'all have a great week.